Hello, everybody. I just wanted to take a moment to give you a bit of a course orientation and walk you through the course. First of all, my name is Dr. Gruwell. You can call me Dr. G, and I'll be your instructor for this semester. So I have both an online section and an in-person section. So I will try to point out some of the differences in the two as we go through specific sections. So when you first click into your course, this is the page that should open up. You'll see a welcome announcement waiting for you. It looks relatively similar to that email that I sent you earlier this week, and it'll have a couple other steps for getting started. And we'll walk through that soon. I always try to keep you guys updated on announcements. Typically, at the start of a week, you will get an announcement kind of saying what you need to worry about for this upcoming week. And sometime mid to the end of the week, you'll get a second reminder. And any changes in due dates, course material, anything like that will come through the announcements section. So, in order to access your course material specifically, the best place to go is content. Mine will look a little different to yours, but what you should be able to see, at least initially, is this Unit 0 start here. You may not see Unit 1 and you may see Unit 2, but you can only see Unit 1 after you go through your Unit 0 start here material. So please take your time looking through this. It'll have a little bit of an introduction here. You'll see this course orientation video is linked just below here, so you can see that in the future. One thing that we will be using mainly for my online class is this Respondus lockdown browser. This is how we make sure that our exams are still fair and there's no cheating done. So you will have to go through this Respondus guidelines and setup, as well as complete your Respondus setup quiz. I'm going to have my in-person section do that as well, just in case, but we'll talk about that in class. You'll see some information about myself here. One thing I wanted to point out is at the bottom of this, you have my contact info, which you also can see on the homepage of the class. You'll see a link to my student hours, and you'll also see a student hours schedule. So on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I will be available via Zoom or in my office. And then on Thursdays, we will be doing in-person tutoring at the Terry building on the Dover campus in the tutoring center. So that's on the second floor. So this will take you to a schedule to actually schedule an appointment with me. You have your course schedule here. This definitely will look different than this one for my in-person people. For my online class, you'll see that a majority of stuff is due every Sunday. Like I said, in person, we'll go over that schedule. It's going to look a little different. But the nice part about our schedule is that all of these are linked to the assignments. So this is a great way to access some of your assignments and stay on kind of pace with our schedule. The evaluation measures, the course expectations, our course syllabus, these are all different things that you should make sure you look through to understand exactly how this course is broken down. This course textbook tag is a little bit misleading because we really do not have a textbook. So our textbook is built into D2L. So we have used what we call open resources, meaning they're free to us and to you. And so we built this course at no extra cost to you. So there's no material or textbook you need to purchase. This tab here has some other resources for you. This is the schedule for our tutoring center for the science department. That will, like I said, will take place in the Terry building on the second floor. And here's a link to some other resources for students. So our bookstore and our virtual support center. There's some other resources that you'll find on here. Laptop lending may or may not still be available. I know they've been phasing that out, so just a heads up. And one other thing I wanted to point out is that if you go over to this help section, there's also online tutoring that D2L Brightspace offers. I will likely make a secondary video to show you how to access that. Learning with Technology, this brings up our Learning with Technology page that the college provides. It has a lot of good resources just for getting started with D2L and kind of getting started with your semester. Number 10 here, this just shows all the different places that we pulled your course from. So that's the Start Here tab. Like I said, make sure that you go through all of that and complete that Respondus setup. And that's how you will be able to get access to Unit 1 and the rest of your course material. So you'll see on the schedule, and you can see as well, that our course typically is broken into 2-week blocks. So pretty much regarding any schedule changes, we're going to be working in 2-week blocks. So each unit is set up very similarly. So for Unit 1, you'll see we have our textbook options, and I'll go to those in a second. And I also want to point out this heavy hitters word list. So with this class, it's primarily a vocab class. We sprinkle in some of the clinical and anatomy and physiology subjects in with it to provide some context, but a lot of it is vocabulary, meaning that you have a lot of different word parts to memorize over the next 15 weeks. To try to help you with that, we've put together a list that all of these words show up on at least 6 out of the 7 word lists. So this gives you a really good head start if you can kind of start nailing down these word parts that you'll see over and over again. In terms of walking you through what kind of a typical week is going to look like, when you click here, you'll have a little intro page for this topic. And then you'll always get this things to do kind of build out here. So there's a little video here on how to use your textbook just to help you navigate. And then the textbook itself, we will get to via this link here. So when you click on this link, now I bring up my textbook for week 1. So it's not a traditional textbook, not all words. You're going to have some videos to watch. There'll be some actual material in here. And so for my in-person people, we will cover some of this stuff or review this stuff as part of our in-person lectures, but you are responsible for still going through your textbook. It doesn't, just because we're in person does not mean that you are exempt from doing any of this online material reading. For my in-person people, I will have more practice and kind of clarification during lecture. And for my online people, I will also be posting voice lectures to help you guys navigate and provide a little extra practice. So they'll look different every week depending on our subject. But as I said, you'll have some different readings. There's some practice activities. Sometimes they're matching, sometimes they're multiple choice. And so these are great ways to practice as you're going through your new material. So that's the textbook itself. We have vocab lists. Sometimes it'll be just one vocab list. I think there's at least 1 or 2 where there's a couple different lists, but I will help you guys stay on track. So if I click on my vocab list, it'll bring me to a Google document. And so these are broken down by word part. So you see we have prefixes here. We have suffixes here. And we have combining forms. So besides our word parts, you'll also see we have some kind of additional terms or other terms and vocabulary, as well as abbreviations that we will introduce within that unit as well. So as you can see, it's quite a list there. There's a lot of words to memorize. So definitely this is a class that you do not want to get behind on and really stay ahead of studying for our tests. That's another reason why this heavy hitters word list is a great place to start, because you'll get a lot of words knocked out that you'll see multiple times. So basically we'll have a test every 2 weeks because our units are broken into 2-week blocks. We have 7 total units. So I will keep them hidden. I don't want people going way ahead, but I will always try to keep at least 1 unit ahead open for people that want to see the vocab lists and get a little bit more of a head start on their new words. One other thing that we'll introduce later in the semester is this journal project. Nothing super, super involved or in depth, so we'll talk about that more when we get to that. Let me go back here for a second. And I just want to point out the rest of this list for you. So that was your vocab list there. You have practice activities. These are typically in the form of flashcards. I think flashcards are the most effective way to learn vocabulary, and I will send some links or post some links to some other flashcard builder websites that you may like to use, such as Flippity or Quizlet. And then last but not least, what you really definitely need to pay attention to is your graded assignments. So you can see that setup quiz for this very first week. And then there's always going to be a homework and a quiz for each unit. I recommend trying to get your homework done a bit ahead of time of your quiz because your homework, you have 2 attempts, and I can give you some feedback that will help you for your quiz, which is only 1 attempt. And your quiz will look very similar to the setup of your homework. One last assignment that I'm going to point out that you don't have to worry about the very first week, but that will show up is our sound it outs. So not only do we want you guys to be able to identify words, but we also want you to be able to say those words and pronounce them correctly. So our sounded outs only pop up once a unit. And so it will give you a list of 20 terms. Your job is to record yourself saying those terms. And then I will provide you some feedback based on how you said them and kind of try to help refine our pronunciation because that's just as important as being able to read and understand it. You'll also see each word has a listen option so that you can listen to your word list prior to attempting it yourself. Let me go ahead and navigate back to our home page for a second. I think that covers a large majority of what you guys need to get started initially. Like I said, really stay on top of studying your word lists. I think the volume of words ends up being the toughest part of this class. So if you get a head start on that, then you will be kind of good to go and set for the rest of the semester. If you have any questions, the easiest way to reach me is email. Remember, I have that link for scheduling virtual student hours. I think just one last thing that I want to clarify is that for my online asynchronous section, this 601 section, we do not have any in-person set meeting times. I'm always available to see you face to face during my student hours, but you do not have any set class times, and all tests will be done through D2L Brightspace. For my in-person crew, I tried to point out a few of those differences. As I said, our schedule will look a little different. You will still have those homeworks, quizzes, and sounded outs via D2L, but we will take all of our tests on paper in class, and you'll see that reflected on your schedule. I hope you guys had a great break, and I'm looking forward to getting started with you this week. Have a great day.